Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm coming at you with another major ranking video, and in today's video we are going to be ranking every single Call of Duty Zombies boss fight ever. I'm talking Treyarch, I'm talking non-Treyarch, but I ain't talking mini bosses. That's where, that's where I draw the line. But again, like I said, Treyarch or non-Treyarch, some maps also have two bosses like Garad, Krovi, or Ancient Evil, so we will be separating them. Obviously, we're not going to be including both of those boss fights, and in total, there are 24 boss fights, so this is going to be a long video. Let's get it. Coming down to a number 24th spot. I cannot believe I'm putting this here. This is the Revelation Shadow Man. Oh my goodness. How did he make it to the bottom spot? Lads, it's all because of excitement, because of hype. This man, the final boss, the final antagonist of Black Ops 3, is the same Easter egg step we did in Shadows of Evil, just to shoot him a couple times, and then that was it. It is truly the easiest boss fight and one of the worst boss fights. I'm telling you, the Brutus on Blood of the Dead is way harder than this fool. And obviously, the Revelations Easter egg isn't that hard to get to up to this point. But good lord, what is this Shadow Man doing? Like, the boss fight is way too easy. You put the summoning key down in one of the 4 locations in the boss fight arena. You get a charge with the Panzers and the Margwas. You throw it at the projection of Sophia. You shoot the dude a couple times and the Chronorium kills. Get that shit out of here. Coming down to our number 23 spot. A lot of people don't actually know this one, but this is going to be the Rhino Cryptids boss battle from Beast from Beyond. Now, this boss fight is one of the boss fights that I think was really just sort of pad filler up until the Mephistopheles boss fight for this DLC, because man, the whole DLC of Beast from Beyond is absolutely terrible. It doesn't make any sense why these cryptids are initially in the map. Like, how do we go from the attack of the radioactive thing to an alien base with cryptids? I just don't understand it. Plus, these rhinos, holy moly, I don't know if y'all have played Destiny 1 or even Destiny 2, but these fools are bullet sponges. If you do not have the right gun, if you do not have a mauler, if you do not have anything that can even destroy this man with the right rate of fire, the right fate and fortune cards, good luck. This fool just eats bullets like it's his breakfast, boy. I don't understand why this boss fight was even a thing. I wish Beast from Beyond just finished the Easter egg and just catapulted you right into Mephistopheles. I don't understand that at all, and that is why it comes just a tad bit higher than the Shadow Man, because hey, at least this one wasn't as disappointing. Now, coming in to our number 22 spot, I can't believe I'm saying this. I genuinely can't believe I'm saying this, and I think people are gonna hate me for this. It's the Alpha Omega boss fight with the Avogadro, and I mean, come on, it's not even a boss fight. The whole fight is you basically yoinking this fool by the ankle and you're just throwing him back into the MPD. Like, there's just genuinely no boss fight with this actual fight, and it's kind of sad because the Avogadro in Alpha Omega, don't get me wrong, he looks way better than the Shadow Man, he looks way better than the Rhino Cryptids, he actually has a major graphical update, but yet again, it's the Avogadro. He didn't really need to come back for Transit, and that was all of Black Ops 4. Like, these things didn't really need to happen, but they sort of did. That's why the Avogadro is so low. And again, I don't want to say it's bad because it was different. It was something that was new in the zombies community. Granted, it wasn't that new. Like, I don't know. It wasn't that great of a fight. And obviously, people can beat this fight in like 20 seconds. So if that doesn't make a bad boss fight, I don't know what does. But anyways, coming down to a number 21 spot, I cannot believe some of these boys. I cannot believe some of these. This is the Guardian from the Tortured Path. Now, I know a lot of people are like, bro, you put the Tortured Path above Revelations and Alpha Omega? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Ladies and gentlemen, this boss fight is actually not that bad. The one problem with this boss fight is, again, it's kind of similar to the Rhino Cryptids, where if you are not running the exact class setup to kill him, you will not be able to take him down. I can't remember what you needed to run back in World War II, but it was this specific fully automatic pistol that if you did not have it, especially if you're playing 4 players in the last section of the Tortured Path map, you would never be able to take this guy down. And especially, this boss fight is incredibly difficult on solo. I actually attempted it multiple times when the DLC came out. I never actually think I beat it without the aid of other people in my game. It was a lot of fun going for it and challenging myself like it was a different experience of zombies, and the boss fight itself wasn't that bad, but yet again, it falls with the same things. He doesn't really have too many crazy attacks or too many crazy abilities, and it's mainly just a bullet sponge. So that is why it is at our 21 spot. And coming in to our number 20 spot, I'm gonna say this loud, I'm gonna say this proud, it's Blood of the Dead Brutus. Now, man, would I have loved this boss fight to be higher, but the problem is with this boss fight is, again, I put it higher up than these other 4 spots solely because of the story. I think the story to get you to the boss fight to Blood of the Dead, obviously the Easter egg process is trash. Blood of the Dead has one of the worst Easter eggs, hands down, but the boss fight itself is definitely something interesting. Yes, it's underwhelming. Yes, it does not allow you to do a lot, and yes, it's a Brutus that's just 2 times as big. However, it's still something new. I thought the boss fight arena, especially in Blood of the Dead, wasn't too bad as well. Like, there are a couple steps that you have to do. It's not like he's just a bullet sponge. Like, you have to think smart with your shield, you have to use the afterlife shot correctly, and you have to take out the orbs that the Brutus spawns in. Why the Brutus starts randomly speaking like Ozoth language, I will never understand, but yet again, it's up here. It's not a good boss fight. Let me get that straight. It's not a good boss fight, but yet again, it's passable. But coming down to our number 19 spot, this is actually the Darkest Shore Meister Mucklers. Now, the Meister Mucklers in the Darkest Shore, for those of you who don't know, was the first DLC of World War II Zombies, and these guys were just freakish. They had like multiple limbs, they had multiple mouths. I swear one of them has like hands like right here when he talks. Like, it's just a little bit ridiculous, but man, the boss fight in this was a little bit different. It was sort of a 3-phase boss fight. This was one of the first boss fights, I think, that introduced the phase idea, where it's like, kill one part of the boss here, kill another version of the boss here, and kill another. The problem with the Meister Mucklers are they are incredibly fast, number 1, and number 2, they are incredibly strong. So when you're facing a fast and a strong enemy, plus in numbers while you're doing this for the boss, it is incredibly difficult. And yet again, I don't think I've ever done this Easter egg on solo, and I've done it on co-op, and you absolutely need everybody in your team to be on their A game to actually take these down. It was something new from the World War II Zombies saga. It was something that was a lot of fun, and I actually really enjoyed their inclusion, and it's surprising that something like this wasn't introduced into Treyarch Zombies. But yet again, it's kind of one of those things where it's like you die by these Meister Mucklers and you just feel sad, because it's like, how the hell was I supposed to kill all of these fast and strong freakish motherfuckers? Like, I do not understand that. But anyways, coming down to our number 18 spot, this is actually going to be the Zetsubo no Shima Takeo boss fight. Now, the funniest part about the Takeo boss fight is the Takeo himself is not actually the boss. The boss itself, when you enter the Zetsubo no Shima arena, is really the overpowered thrashers that you hit. I mean, come on. Like, if you are in that boss fight without Juggernog and you get hit once by those thrashers, you are done. They literally one-hit you. They get you red screen with Juggernog. If they get that one good slap in, it can almost be game over. And I think that's what keeps players on their toes. You really need the Skull of Nonsapwe. You need the Masamune. And if you're smart enough around using them, then you'll be able to kill it. Obviously, the Easter egg isn't that bad getting up to the boss fight, which is why I find it quite enjoyable. Plus, this is one of the very few boss fight arenas that you can actually stay in for the rest of the entire game without ever having to quit the game or the game quitting on you. And I think for that reason itself, I put it up so high. Obviously, the cutscene was emotional, and obviously the boss fight is literally just shooting 4 weak points as they appear, but it's still quite a lot of fun. I don't think Zetsubo no Shima needed more than this, and I think it was so suitable for the way that Takeo is as a person, so that's why I have it above a lot of these other bosses. But coming down to a number 17 spot, this is the Shaolin Shuffle Rat King. Now, man, oh man, I put the Rat King up here because, yet again, it's another idea of the phase boss. But what I love about the Shaolin Shuffle Rat King, the second DLC for Infinite Warfare, for those of you who don't know, by the way, for those of you who don't know, he has multiple phases that involve you to use every single item that you've obtained along with the Easter egg. And I really like that. I love how with this boss fight, you have to use the sonar eye ability to see certain marks that you have to kill. Obviously, there are some problems with the Shaolin Shuffle Rat King because there are times where it doesn't seem like you're actually doing any damage to him. Plus, if you run out of ammo in this boss fight arena, literally just give up. I've had a game where I think I stayed in the boss fight arena for 3 whole hours trying to just farm a max ammo, and I could not get it. Like, man, oh man, this is a tough boss fight. It is a little bit challenging, but the only reason I put it so low is just because of how ridiculously infuriating it can be sometimes, because there's no max ammo drops like there is with the Keeper and the Eisendrache. There really is no leeway, and that's why I put it so low. Other than that, I think it's not that bad of a boss though. Coming down to a number 16 spot, this has got to be the Frozen Dawn's God King. Now, the God King aesthetically is one of the most pleasing zombie bosses I think we've ever seen in all of Call of Duty Zombies, hands down. The reason why I put it so low is I have to account the glitches, okay? When this boss first came out, there was a glitch where if you had a flamethrower power up on World War II zombies, you could whip out that flamethrower and just instantly kill him, and I think that was one of the reasons I didn't really like this boss. Also, this boss fight really mimics the Eisendrache Keeper boss fight in a lot of different ways, where there's sort of rocks or pillars where you have to hide behind. You have to sort of just fill up souls, kind of like what you do with the Ragnaroks in the Eisendrache. So yet again, I think the God King aesthetically is a great boss fight, but in terms of gameplay, I think there's a lot left that still needs to be desired from World War II Zombies. And for the climax of that game, it really wasn't that great. But coming down to a number 15 spot, I am so shocked I'm putting this up here. I think a lot of people are gonna roast me for this list because I think this choice is a little bit wild. This is Descent from Exo Zombies, DJ Oz, as I like to call him. And Pat and I, way back in the day, I'm talking like 2014, 2015, we called this fool DJ Oz. This guy was in the booth, he was doing his thing, but this boss fight was integrated so seamlessly within the map. And the reason why I put it so up here is because if you have even bought or played the map and gotten to about round 14 to 15, you have experienced some of this boss fight. Obviously, the boss fight doesn't continue until you do the entire Easter egg, but the Easter egg itself to get to the boss fight is so rewarding, and the boss is actually incredibly difficult. He is very powerful. Oz becomes this massive mutant zombie that's very fast, and it's very actually similar to the Panzer Mortar. The only reason why I put it so low is just similarly because it was the first boss fight, so they were kind of testing new things into zombies, but also, man, oh man, with the Exo Zombie system, I think the EMZs of this boss fight really bring it down, and I think just because of that, you're removing all of the innovation that you've brought into the game, and that's why I have to put it so low. I do put it high enough though, just because it is accessible to anybody who has ever played the map, and you have at least gotten a little taste of what that boss fight would be like, but yet there's still a lot to be desired. And coming down to a number 14 spot, like I was saying, this is the Final Reich's Panzer Mortar. Now, the one thing I love about this boss fight is there's actually 2 versions of them. There's an easy version and there's a hard version. It really just depends on which Easter egg. If you follow the notebook, you're going to be doing the easy version, and if you decide to follow a Easter egg guide and get the Sword of Barbarossa, you're going to be doing the hard version. The boss fight itself is very simple. The only thing you really have to do is destroy parts of his lower body to get the bombs and place it onto him, and that is how you kill him. It's fun, it's easy, but it's also terrifying when you're walking around these dark, dingy alleys and all of a sudden you see this massive, freakish 1,000 human zombie coming at you. It's terrifying. The intro and ending cutscene for this map is terrifying with the boss. It was one of the first actual cutscenes to introduce a boss as well. Obviously, Black Ops 3 had that as well, but non-Treyarch, I'm just talking non-Treyarch, this was a major innovation, major step, so that's why I definitely gotta put it up here. Now, coming into a number 13 spot, I think a lot of people are going to be surprised about this one. This is actually going to be the Stadjäger in Shadowed Throne. Now, I don't even know if I pronounced that guy's name right, because with the Shadowed Throne, I think this was the best boss fight in all of World War II Zombies. It's sad that a lot of people never really got to experience it, but the cool part about this one is you fight the boss inside a blimp. I don't think we have ever experienced that in all of Call of Duty Zombies, and I thought especially in Origins, where you see these massive blimps, you would think you would fight some massive enemy in there, but no. World War II Zombies was the first to do it in their second DLC, and on top of that, this boss fight has multiple layers. You get to see Dr. Straub die at the end of the cutscene as well when you beat him, and it's incredible. There's a lot of different puzzles that you have to focus and face while you're doing the boss fight. It wasn't actually that challenging, obviously, because Starburst and I guess Smart Guy were one of the first two people to ever do the whole Easter egg, and they just did the boss fight. Obviously, it's Smart Guy and Starburst, so they're legendary people in the Zombies community. They got the skill, but hey, I think it was a lot of fun, and definitely a lot of innovation came from this boss fight, especially with the in-game cutscene with Stroud, and that is why it definitely has to come up on the 13th spot. But coming in at a number 12 spot, I think this has to be the aliens from Spaceland. Now, if you guys have ever played Infinite Warfare Zombies, a lot of people have never gotten to the aliens just because of how hard it is to kill them, especially because of the fact that the more players there are in your game, that is how many aliens will spawn. So if you've got 4 people in your game, there are going to be 4 aliens teleporting around the map, shooting you with laser guns, and it is intense. It is so much fun, especially on 4-player, and the boss rush mode on Infinite Warfare just makes the boss that much better. And even on Spaceland, it's not that difficult to get to there, but you have to do a lot of SETI-COM steps and all of that, and it can be a little bit confusing with the tone dials and all that, but Spaceland, I think, does the boss fight right. It is challenging, it is difficult, it gives you a great reward for double pack punch, and I think that reward is now permanent throughout the whole map, so that is incredible with Spaceland, and I think there are a lot more better boss fights, even in IW, that we forgot to mention. But coming down into our number 11 spot, this has got to be the Rave in the Redwoods large slasher boss. Now, this was one of my favorite bosses just because of solely the aesthetic. I love how you have to travel to a little island to fight this massive boss, and he comes down off the cabins, and he's got all of these different attacks, and he's got all of these different phases to him, where sometimes you have to stand in these little circles and defend yourself. It was an incredible boss fight, and I think if Infinite Warfare did one thing that Treyarch modeled after, it was their legendary boss fights, and this was for sure one of them. The Attack of the Radioactive Thing and Rave in the Redwoods for sure do an incredible job with these boss fights. And talking about our number 10 spot, this Attack of the Radioactive Thing, baby, man. And again, this boss, I don't know what it's called. I'm just assuming it's the Radioactive Thing because that's what the map is called. But man, okay, I gotta be honest, I did this Easter egg way back in Boogie Boy's house with Liam and actually, no, not Liam, with Milo and Phil. Could you imagine that combo, Milo and Phil? We did the Easter egg on Attack of the Radioactive Thing. Granted, the Easter egg to get to this boss fight is a massive pain, especially on solo. If you do it on co-op, it's a lot easier. But getting to the boss fight is a lot of fun. It incorporates a lot of different elements, even from Exo Zombies and World War II Zombies. You gotta like dodge lasers and stuff, and you have to go and plant the bomb and put the right code in. It was a very intuitive boss fight, and it makes you think, and you have to use everything on the map. You gotta use the turrets, you gotta kill him, you gotta use all the lasers, you gotta get the code. It's a lot of fun. It's a great boss fight, and I think because of its challenge is why I have to put it definitely in the top 10 boss fights of all time. But now coming into our number 9 spot, this has got to be Black Ops 4's Ancient Evils Perseus. But the reason why I like the Perseus boss fight a little less than the Pegasus boss fight is because the whole arena, by the time you're fighting Perseus after you kill Pegasus, is limited to just one small, a little part of the area. I don't really like that. I think with the whole Pegasus boss fight, it was so cool that you could jump from different platforms and take him down and shoot him and then use your specialist to take him out. I like that. But the problem is with Perseus is like, you're just trapped on this one spot, and you have to kind of, it's all RNG based, really. You have to wait for him to come down. You have to make sure your specialist weapon is fully ready to take him out. And again, it's specialist weapon reliance, and that's why I don't really like it. And granted, the reason why I put it up even in the top 10 is solely because of the aesthetic. I mean, come on, you're in the God's arena, man. It's so cool that you can actually take down Perseus and even have Pegasus at your side and use the Unicorn Strike and everything. It was a cool boss fight, but yet again, the gameplay aspect of it was not there, and I wish that was fleshed out a lot more. But coming in at a number 8 spot, I think this was a really good boss fight, granted if the map was not that good. It was the Dead of the Night Werewolf. Now, the Werewolf is an intense boss fight because he is incredibly fast, and on top of that, he can turn invisible. And that is the gimmick of the fight, which I really like, because it bases itself so much on this Dracula-esque idea of, oh my gosh, this is basically an otherworld entity, and we have to use everything to stop it. And that's what I love, because in the boss fight there are almost 3 pillars around the map where you have to turn them and get a green light to shine on the specific block of floor. And if that werewolf goes on the block of floor, he finally becomes visible, and you can take him out and destroy him, use the specialist weapons. And yet again, I really dislike that Black Ops 4 uses specialist weapons as the main weapon to take out a lot of these bosses. I really dislike that. Hope Black Ops 5 can fix that. But yet again, the werewolf boss fight was really cool. I loved his intro cutscene. I love how you kind of see like his siblings around the map, and then finally you get to take out the big one at the end. It was really cool, and I think a lot of people underappreciate the intensity of this boss fight, because man, oh man, if you do not have the homunculus, if you do not have the right specialist weapons, you are going to have a hard time in this boss fight. And coming in at a number 7 spot, and yet again, it is the Ancient Evil Pegasus. Like I said, you get to use the whole boss fight arena. The one issue I have with the boss is why after every time you do enough damage to the unicorn or to Pegasus, you just lose all of this playable area. I think that was one of the biggest mistakes that this boss fight could have done. And again, it was really cool, but also you have to use your specialist weapon, and it's also mainly for aesthetic, which is why I put it up on the number 7 spot. Now, coming into our number 6 spot, I gotta say this is the Garand Krovi Nicolai boss fight. Now, a lot of you are like, really? You put it at number 6? Hold on, okay? The reason why I put Nicolai in so low is because the Nicolai boss fight is legendary, okay? I have to be honest. It's so intense. You're running around from these wraps that he calls in. He has all these different abilities. His gunning turret can just destroy you if you are not moving at maximum speed constantly. He is such a strong boss fight. The only problem I find with the Nicolai boss fight is similar to the God King. There's one thing that you can do in this boss fight that makes it so much easier, and that is spawning in a death machine. If you have a fatal contraption gobblegum and you spawn in 2 death machines, one for you and one for your buddy, you can just laser this guy's weak points. Obviously, when we were first figuring it out, his weak points were a lot harder to find, but they're quite easy because they glow and they're very easy to spot. And the problem is with this boss fight is if you have a death machine, you can take this guy out in like 20 seconds flat. He's just so easy to take him out, and I think that is the only problem I find with Nicolai. I think his aesthetic is incredible. I think his movement abilities are incredible and his damage abilities, but the only problem is the death machine spawning in to take him out. But anyways, coming in at a number 5 spot, now we're getting some serious stuff. This is the Eisendrache Keeper, man. The Keeper was incredible. You guys have to think of it like this way. Treyarch was watching Noah beat this first in the world. I could not imagine. Everybody's probably at the studio. They're all hyped up. Yo, he's about to do it. He's about to do it. And like, the one love I have about this boss is it's hard. Even if you go in today, there are multiple times, even if I have head drama, or even if I'm not even paying attention, this boss will knock you on your ass. It is such a difficult boss fight. You have to be micromanaging the whole time. You have to be checking, okay, are my Ragnaroks ready? Am I behind the pillar when he does his charge attack? Do I have ammo on my storm bow? Do I have something to take care of the panzers? Do I have something to take care of the skulls that he brings in me? Do I have something to take care of the dogs that come at me? Again, there's so much to think about in this boss fight, and that is the intensity. Every time in EE4C and ZWC, this is the boss fight we always come back to, especially because if you are speed running this map, there is a lot more of a chance that you're not going to bring Juggernog into the fight. You're not going to bring anything that you really need to take him down, because all that matters to you is the time. And when you're thinking about time, you're going to forget things, and that is the beauty of this boss. This boss takes control of the game, and that is why it is so challenging and it is so rewarding, especially if you see someone come out of this boss fight and they clutch it with no Juggernog. Oh my gosh, the adrenaline adrenaline that is pumped in me, especially during ZWC when I tried to take out this boss during it without Juggernaut. It is such an intense moment, and that is why it is for sure a top 5 boss in all of Call of Duty Zombies. But coming down into our number 4 spot, it's the other Garad Crowley boss. It's the dragon. The dragon is so cool. Granted, it's quite easy to take out once you know what to do. You just really need a shield and have a good enough gun like the Drakon, or maybe even the FFAR or the Death Machine to shoot his weak spots. It's exactly like Nicolai, but on a dragon in a little bit of a slower form. And the reason why I like this boss fight so much is because the whole battlefield that you spawn in is massive, and yet it is set on fire. You have nowhere to go. It is so challenging, yet fun and rewarding, and you can get by it easily. Obviously, it's not as grand as the Eisendrache Keeper boss fight. I know a lot of people will probably have that in their top 3, but I just love Garad Crowley and the dragon and its aesthetic. It just fits so well, and I don't know, I think I like it just a little bit more than the Keeper. Plus, I think I've been a little bit burnt out over Eisendrache. Now, coming into our top 3, I think a lot of people are going to be surprised by these lists and by these numbers, but this top 3 is nothing to mess around with. The number 3 spot, I cannot believe I'm saying this, we're going to be giving this to Voyage of Despair's boss fight, the Eye of Odin. Now, again, the whole map to get up to this point is trash. I know what you guys are saying. It is hard to get the Kraken upgrade. It is hard to do all the steps with the planets. It's hard to do all of that. But when you get to the boss fight, everything feels like it was worth it. It is such an incredible experience. There's 5 phases with this boss fight where you have to take out enemies, and you have to maximize on your carpenters for your shield. You have to maximize on your max ammos, and it is so difficult because if you do not have the homunculus and the Helion salvo, you are going to be struggling big time on this boss fight, especially by the time you hit phase 3 or phase 4, where you have to throw the homunculuses and use the Helion salvo to lock in on the guy and then shoot the eye. It is incredible to start up this boss fight as well. You finally go into the water and you swim to him, which is really nice, and it's definitely a different aesthetic. It's the iceberg that we've always been trying to avoid from Titanic. It's really cool ideology behind the whole boss fight, and man, the phase 5 of this boss fight is the true kicker, because again, it has another Keeper ability where it can instantly kill everyone. But the problem with this one is if your team, or if you are not doing enough damage, you will instantly game over. There's no coming back from this, and that is why if you do everything up to the point of the boss fight, the intensity itself lies on the amount of work you've actually done. And I think that is the whole point of a boss fight. It is the last hurdle up next to the victory, and the only problem is if there was some sort of reward that you got from this boss fight, it would be made much better, and that is why I think it still stays at a number 3 spot, and it is one of the best boss fights of all time, hands down. But coming into our number 2 spot, there's one Black Ops 4 Zombies map that does Voyage of Despair better. It is the 9 Elephant. I have never experienced a zombie boss fight like this. You enter this arena and you feel like you are about to die. There is some sort of feeling that you get where everything in your brain is just adrenaline focused. I have never felt that way in a boss fight, especially when I'm streaming this map. I got music blaring, I got the chat going, everybody's going wild. It is such a fantastic experience. They really nailed the boss fight, and especially you kill this elephant, you think, oh my gosh, I'm done, and then another massive one with more armor and more spear throwers on the top of him comes out, and you're just like, holy shit, you're fucking gone, you're crazy. There's so much room on this arena, but you feel like you're so limited. You have to watch out for the spear throwers, you have to shoot the armor off, then you have to kill the elephant. It is incredible, and obviously you can glitch it out with the Helion salvo and make the boss fight a lot easier for yourself. But man, I'm telling you, run up on this boss with a Mog 12 or anything else other than the Helion salvo, and it is a true boss fight. It is so much fun. They have one-hit abilities as well with these spear throwers. I know that was kind of patched now. I think they kind of fixed that. It's not as bad, but man, back at launch, the adrenaline you feel when you fight this boss is absolutely everything, and that is why I love this boss fight. But coming in at a number 1 spot, and I think a lot of people don't even know what this boss fight is in Zombies. A lot of people have no clue that the IW team spent their whole DLC time making this one boss fight instead of Beast from Beyond. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Hades himself. The best boss in all of Call of Duty Zombies is Mephistopheles. Mephistopheles is by far the most complicated, the most intricate, and the best boss fight in all of Call of Duty Zombies, hands down. And the reason why, like I said, is because they spent a whole fucking DLC cycle to make this one boss fight. They copped out on Beast from Beyond, especially for this boss fight. There is nothing in all of Call of Duty Zombies where it's multiple phases. You have to watch. I have to call out with Ben and Chopper, the last 2 people that I did this Easter egg boss fight with. You can just load up into it now, which is incredible. You have to call out every attack. You have to be looking at him. You have to be watchful of every single thing. He can spawn in all of the different zombies from IW Zombies. You have to watch out. You have to be incredibly careful. And that is why Mephistopheles is just so fucking fun. The amount of times it took, even for people like Smart Guy and Starburst, to finally beat this boss solo is the true testament to how good this boss is. There's so many different phases. You have to use every single bit of your arsenal to even come close to killing him. He's such a fun boss, and I think just because of that alone, if nobody places an entire DLC cycle of development for creating a boss fight, Mephistopheles will eternally reign as the king. There's so many different boss patterns. I think Treyarch will never even come close to topping how incredible this boss fight is. Treyarch, come at me, please do it. But man, if you guys do not know what the Mephistopheles boss fight is, go try it out. It is really worth your while, and I would not say it any other way. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Again, this was a long one to make. Tell me what ranking video you guys want me to do next. Again, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see you in the next one.